All right, so we're going to go ahead and run dropper. It's a cable actuated dropper. We're gonna run the cable housing into the frame. So this is an Ibis, it's a DV9 hardtail. Used to be called the tranny, I believe, but we got a lot of internal stuff going on. We got little doorways here, so I had to unscrew the door, take that off, have that somewhere. So a little tiny guy like this, and they have 2, maybe 3 different styles of these, so you got to make sure you got the right ones. But anyways, there's a screw hole here, so it tells you which direction it's going. Some of these will allow the housing to just go all the way through. Other ones will allow the housing to come in and stop, so it acts as a cable stop or a cable. Yeah, it's basically part of the frame. So the cable stops here. I'm sorry, the housing will stop here, and then the cable itself will continue to thread through. So, like for the derailleur on this one, housing came in, stopped here, and then the cable ran through, and then went back into, popped back out, went back into another housing. So. This one here, we're running housing all the way from the lever. This is a bike yoke dropper. New to me, I'm learning, I'm like it. So we're running a housing from the lever all the way into the frame, popping out of the frame here at the bottom of the down tube, and then transitioning over here to the seat tube. There's another door right where my finger is. So it's popping out here, going back into the seat tube frame, disappearing here. So the only small section you're gonna see is right about here. Comes back up, and then it's going to connect to our dropper right here. So since we were able to take this little door off, we got a little bit of a bigger space, so we can actually fish it out with a hook tool or a magnet or something like that. It's going to be kind of a 2-step, maybe a 3-step system here. So I'm going to sacrifice a brand new cable. I'm going to go ahead and chop this head off, so maybe you can keep this for the future. So this little tiny derailleur cable is going to get chopped off here, and then we're going to run it through the frame. And usually the frays will stay intact. If they come undone, just do a clockwise twisting motion until everything gets nice and tight and behaves. So we're just gonna basically run it through the frame. Anytime you get stuck, just do a little twisting motion and gentle probing till you get past something, because sometimes there's a piece of the carbon or webbing or something inside you're getting caught on. So basically bottoming out down here at the seat tube, and then I'm gonna use my, either you got a small pick to get in there, usually you can see the cable, just kind of twist it, and you can see it, pull it out, or use a small magnet head, which I am here with this retractable one, fits right inside the hole. So something's keeping me, so I'm gonna back up a little bit. There it is, there, oh. So I can get that, there we go. If that wasn't going to work, I would just go ahead and get a really small hook tool, kind of fish it in there and grab it, and then just pull it right out, but we're good to go there. So we're going to continue, going to go ahead and run this up, and I'm going to have it go up all the way to the seat tube. So that means I'm going to have to take this out of the stand and take the dropper out of the bike.
Shutterstock Music.
I think we're good there. So now I'm going to go ahead, we're going to start running this. Just make sure your this end is open. Use a pick if you need to open up your housing. Go ahead and start your cable. You want as much cable coming through here as possible. So this is where having a longer cable, maybe using the derailleur cables much longer, would come in handy. So I'm going to try and hold the bottom here, try and fish. Yeah, that's not working, and so that's not, housing's not sliding onto that cable. So what I'm going to try and do is, without pulling cable out of the housing, I'm going to walk the housing down while feeding, kind of walking the cable out of this bottom hole until we get this housing wanting to pop out this seat tube hole. There we go. So that cable just acted as a guide, walked out my housing there. And look what I'm gonna do from here. I'm gonna try and slide some more housing in, or cable into the housing. There we go, take up that slack. And then work it over and basically do the same thing. So here I'm just, without pulling the cable, I'm just gonna walk this housing up. But we're also missing, don't forget your doors, your little caps here. So that's a good time to stop and apply your doors. And we're gonna walk this guy back out again. There we go. So he's out. Housing is out. Now we're gonna guide it through our doorway here. And this is a bit of a process. So instead of having it come out all the way, I'm gonna have it just tuck its head back in there. It's gonna be flush with the opening because it's gonna be easier to go ahead and put that screw in there. So he's just barely hanging out right there. It's like a snake head just ready to bite. Now's a good time to go ahead and put your screw back in. Yeah, I think we'll be okay. So screw, and I'm using an Allen that has the ball end so I can come in at odd angles. There we go. As long as you're using gentle fingertips, you don't have to worry about stripping anything, unless you're a maniac. So now we're going to loosen the other guy. Okay, I'm going to slide that piece, let that hang out there. Now you're going to go ahead, I'm going to pinch the cable here. There we go. We're going to work that housing out. So work enough out. And this is a pretty tight bend. We're basically doing it's almost like a letter Y. And go ahead and, there you go. And this might be the tough one. So housing's right there in the way. Got to get that screw in there. I suppose I can back this guy out a little bit. Yes, you get that housing out of the way. I'm going to try that. Go ahead and throw a screw in there. Don't pinch your cable on accident. Nice and tight. There we go. Now we're going to walk this guy up. So as I'm trying to pull and bend this guy and guide, so I'm doing three things: pulling, bending, guiding it back into the hole here. I'm going to be feeding it from the top of the seat tube, feeding it downward, getting that in there, working that tight bend. All right, so I'm going to be feeding down, pulling out, bending, guiding. And if this is your permanent cable, try not to put a bend or bad kink in this cable as well. So some of the stuff you can go ahead and curse out the manufacturer, but more power to you if you can get this done without destroying anything. So I'm just using my index finger and my thumb to put a bend in it, feed it down, pulling, there we go, guiding it. There we go. Not too bad of a problem. And at this point, I'm going to see if I can push some cable down back into the housing. That's really not going to work. Okay, I think we have enough cable in the housing that it'll still help it guide up as long as you don't accidentally pull cable out. We're just going to fish this guy all the way up until he pops out our top tube over here. So more of this. Not too bad. As long as the outer housing of the housing is not really scuffed up, it's not going to get caught because it's a pretty tight fit inside these doors. And then just do checks every now and then to see if that housing's ready to come out, because we don't want to overshoot it, but that cable should help us guide it. Alright, still feeding through, so it's probably somewhere right about here. I'm sure it's ready to come out here at some point. So I still got to feed, so I'm pushing down using this hand to guide and push through. And I can see the cable is actually trying to make its way out a little bit there. There we go. There's our housing. Cable's still there, so if you want, you can kind of push a little, feed a little more cable through there, and just continue to work your way out. So I'll probably leave about 3 inches or so of housing hanging out the top of the seat tube. But let's get this all the way over, back to the lever. So we can see if we can do a little pulling here, but pushing If you get caught, you're gonna have to work down here at the tight bend. And the other thing we forgot is the barrel adjuster. So a barrel adjuster needs to be on there as well with, I believe, a ferrule cap. So back out, start over.